My husband and I have been married for 5 years. Recently, I've been getting resentful about how little he does and how difficult he is to talk to about this. I'm halfway through a master's, taking 13 credits semester. My classes are at night, and I have 3 part-time day jobs that add up to full-time. My husband is finishing a bachelor's, part-time, and isn't working. His job is seasonal. Next semester, he has student teaching. Most of my time is spent at work, in class, or doing homework, whereas my husband is home all day except for 1 day a week. There are some things he does around the house, but not many. Usually he cooks dinner, and he is the one who goes grocery shopping. Sometimes he'll get upset if I ask him to go to the store, saying that he has too much homework, which bothers me because many days he's just on his phone or playing games. He also does laundry, but only once every few months when he's run out of underwear. That is the end of the list. He doesn't even fold the laundry. We've had 2 hampers of clean laundry for months. Our dirty laundry is piling on the floor. The dishes pile in the sink until the weekend. And he decides in the morning that I'll wash dishes while he makes us eggs, or vice versa. Or if he needs the sink to make dinner but it is full of dishes, I wash them. Otherwise he'll complain a lot or won't start until it's so late that dinner isn't until number 9 p.m. He doesn't clean the bathroom or sweep. He leaves spills, crumbs on the stove, and we have mice. Our house is disgusting. I also take care of the mental load, e.g. make sure all of the bills get paid, make the grocery list, decide that the sheets need to get changed, and go through the mail. I also have to remind him of really basic things like to not put a baking dish that's so hot it requires a pot holder directly on our leather couch. This workload distribution feels incredibly unfair, given that he is in undergrad part-time and not working. He says the reason he hasn't gotten a job all semester is because it has to fit with student teaching next semester, which for anyone unfamiliar is basically working full-time unpaid as a teacher, and because he'll need time off to see our families for the holidays. Last night, I told him I'm nervous to talk to him about lining up a job for next semester. In similar situations, he's gotten angry. He only addressed this concern by saying, "You can ask me about it." And he didn't address the concern about looking for a job before he becomes too busy. Instead, he informed me that if he starts getting too overwhelmed and failing student teaching, he will need to cut back on working hours. I said, "Okay, but I don't know how much you're saying you'll work. And what I'm hearing is that you might not really be working." We went back and forth about this for a while, and the argument got heated. He also said we could live off our savings, which he knows I am not okay with if we're both capable of working. He did try to say we should drop it and come back to it the next day. But not wanting to extend the fight another day, I pushed to try to resolve things, and I know I shouldn't have done that. In the argument, he said I am going to have to be the one making dinner during his student teaching semester. I reminded him that I also will be in classes 4 nights a week, so that might not work. He said, "Well, then one of us is going to have to work less." I mentioned there are other solutions, e.g. meal prep. He ended up saying that I don't understand his side, but he understands mine. He does that a lot, and he's really condescending about it. I feel like he totally ignored my concerns, which is what that conversation was originally about. I feel like he frequently flips the tables on me. I ended up crying and apologizing, and he has ignored me since. He did not apologize or take any responsibility for any part of that argument. I feel like I pull significantly more weight than him, and he still always has a problem with me. The more I think about it, the more angry and resentful I am. I need an outsider's perspective on this. How can I approach this without having another heated argument? I want to fix my part in this, but I also don't want to take all the responsibility for our fights all of the time. How can I resolve things and feel less resentful? TLDR. My husband is a part-time undergrad student who is not working. I am a full-time grad student working full-time, part-time across 3 jobs. He does very little around the house. He's student teaching next semester, and we've always said he would work evenings during that. We fought about how much he would work, because he's talking about the possibility of needing to cut back and he hasn't even started yet. How can I resolve things and feel less resentful? Annie Mitz commented, "I know a couple women who got divorced very young. One was 22 and the other was around your age. The 22-year-old is still growing up and dealing with other issues. The other one got remarried in her mid-30s and has changed careers and is thriving. You are so young. I promise no one is going to care you're divorced. My childhood best friend is divorced with 3 kids and she's in a great relationship now with a guy who's been divorced twice. I don't think the divorce stigma is nearly as bad as it was when I was growing up. Don't let any fear of no one wanting you keep you trapped in this awful-sounding marriage. 1, you will definitely find someone else, and 2, even if you didn't, I promise you will prefer being alone to continuing on this path." Phil Moigerbel responded, "I have left dynamics like this. I grew up in a family of it and then kept repeating it with friends and relationships because irritatingly, it's easy to confuse a slightly different style of it with, oh, they are different to X. Something that helped me when I was in the but while they are awful in a list as long as yours, they are great here. Push-pull, how do I get off this vicious cycle was to approach them like how I plan my workload. I would break down how to recognize theory or asshole, and a timetable by which time I wanted to have internally learned this much about that and turn leaving. Or should I stay into a book essay project and make it a learning thing but put just enough detachment in that it didn't feel like my life and future but a close interest to my mind. That step back to give the observer eye is often less noticeable to them, so they also don't ramp up the "I'll change," but just gives your brain time to filter in the background. You know how when you are studying, there is a point that you cram too hard and confuse yourself. Then you go off and take a shower, go for a walk, or cleaning, and your muscle memory brain is ticking along and your big ideas brain can switch off. And a bit like knitting while you watch TV, the two forms of stimulation make you realize stuff better. You remember where the hell that lost item you spent hours looking for is. Same with yourself, your gut instincts, and how to pick between two things. Shift this into that massive schoolwork load and stop letting it use up all your active thinking. It might not solve it immediately, but it does preserve your education from his nonsense. And often, by taking the "I must do something" decision into a reframing, it flows. This is not good advice if you in any way fear for your physical safety or are at risk of the finances trapping you. Physical abuse is an escalation, but you are already experiencing mental and financial abuse. Financial abuse can be you paying for his lifestyle, but while that is abuse, it tends not to trap you physically, just by guilt and shame, into not being able to leave, unlike financial abuse where they hold all the money, lease, etc. Check for debts in your name before this. Also, I suggest this because you are someone already studying and in a similar field. It's not a one-size-fits-all method, but seeing you break down the scenario the way you did, I think it would fit you well here. There are lots of other ways to put that detachment in to help question unhealthy relationships, but I think you've already started a similar method. Good luck. Being divorced at 26 is not the shame you fear. Cutting the cake on your 60th anniversary, having regretted every year of it, is much worse. You are clearly succeeding in spite of this marriage. You'll excel without it.